talking about the real reason that strong CVs don't convert. So as always, let's do a quick tech check. Who's here? Tell me you can hear and see everything. Tell me if you had a double dose of Sarah today. We had 11 o'clock on one Thursday a month. We have a open networking session. So even if you're not part of the sprint, you get to come and meet some of the people, see what being part of a community is like, come to meet some nice people. So hopefully you can see and hear me okay. If not, let me know, because, you know, these technical things happen, don't they? It is good to see you all. Well, I can't see you. You can see me. It's good to see me, isn't it? It's great to be here. And we are just, hopefully, you're going to tell me who's here and what is going on. But I'm going to start with something I've heard a lot inside the sprint this week. The current market was a shock, especially the silence. Does that resonate with anybody? Bit of a shock? How quiet it is. People have said, I haven't had to look for work for 5 or 6 years, and it is completely different out there. Does anyone feel the same as that? Yes, I'll bet. These are not weak candidates. Oh, is it me? Can we hear each other? Is the microphone? What about now? Maybe this is working now. Let's hope you can hear me, everybody. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Can you hear me, United Kingdom? Can you hear me? Thank goodness I asked though, Rachel, because otherwise God knows what will be going on. Let's see if you can hear me, if everything's going okay. Have we got everything working? I'll go check on my own system, see whether it's you or it's me. Sometimes I think I'll just launch straight into this. I was all ready, and sometimes it just doesn't work, does it? You can hear me. Yes, right. So if it's you, Rachel, yes. This is when you don't get direct feedback, you see. You're about 30 seconds behind me, I think. Right, okay, so the current market was a bit of a shock, people are saying. People are saying that there's radio silence out there. There's times when they are not looked for work in 5 or 6 years, and it feels completely different to how it feels now. Does that feel the same for you guys? These people that are in the sprint and the people that I see every day are not weak candidates. They're strong, credible, and experienced people. And yet, things haven't been converting. So today, I want to explain the real reason why strong CVs are not converting. And it's not what most people think. If your CV is good, but interviews aren't happening, it's usually not a quality issue. It's a positioning issue. You can be a fantastic candidate with the wrong story. One of the ladies that came to our networking event this morning actually said that she has made some changes on her CV. Instead of being everything, she has really honed in, and it's made a world of difference. She's got calls booked this week. She has not changed. She's the same person. What I'm seeing is the market has changed, but people's approach has not changed. So let's just level a little bit. The market is really messy out there. Ghosting is happening. Are we seeing ghosting, folks? Yes. How much percentage are we getting ghosted? Like, you know, if we think about like ghosting versus rejection versus contact with humans, what percentage of the time are we getting ghosted? I heard some guy I was talking to last week, he was saying 95% he was getting ghosted. 95%. Crazy. Processes are really slow. What is the longest amount of time that you've heard about these processes? I have heard actually someone who applied for a job in November, they thought the job was dead. People are coming back to them. Wild. I'm also seeing that job specs are unrealistic. It feels like that because there's so many people looking for jobs, they feel like they can ask for unicorns. Technology has massively got in the way. We're in a whirlwind, I think. So if you're sitting there thinking, why the hell is nothing landing? It's not just you. But that's not the full story either. Most people, I'm going to cover a couple of points here. So I think I've got three key points here. So the first one is competence versus confidence. Competence versus confidence. So most people are focusing on competence. Have I done enough? Is my CV detailed enough? Have I listed everything? Should I do a course? Has anybody thought to themselves, I should do a course? What course should I do? What qualification should I do? Should I go back to university because obviously I'm not qualified enough? Has anybody had that run through their head? Has anyone had that? Be honest. I bet you have. Hiring managers are scanning for something else. They're asking themselves, can I see this person doing this job? And that's not about all the things that you've done. It's confidence, clarity, and positioning. The second point is that clarity is beating comprehensiveness. More information doesn't equal better, right? So like the lady that was on our call this morning, Rachel was there, she can attest to this. The lady said that she'd reduced the information that she put on there, she'd been more focused and has now got callbacks booked in that she didn't have before. More information doesn't equal better. Most CVs either are very under, they're trying to say everything. I'm trying to prove that I'm a good project manager, people leader, strategist, hands-on person, all in the same document. But what actually works is being really clear about what you do, where you add value, and why it should matter to them. The simpler it is to understand, the easier it is to select you. So this week, I've also been doing a CV for somebody who had worked in consulting for decades, and I'd put it off because I just hate doing them, because when you have got somebody's CV that works in consulting, they often separate out per project and no one cares about that. When you look at their CV, it was in columns, it was like disjointed and disordered. And if any recruiters watch this, I'm sure they'll attest to this, that you open a document and it makes your eyes just want to roll in the back of your head because it's so complicated. And this is the point, is that if somebody is opening your document and they're confused and they're like, I don't know what this is, they're not going to be able to put you forward for something because they don't even understand what's going on. If they have to decipher it, it's not working. So the simpler it is to understand, the easier it is to select you. And that's removing all the guff, all the stuff that just doesn't matter, that might just be there for your ego, that we're like, I got an A star at A level, but that was 25 years ago, babe. It doesn't matter anymore. No one cares about that. The third point, big point here, is qualified versus selected. You can be fully qualified and still not be selected, because hiring isn't a checklist exercise. Interviews are not a memory test. They're a decision-making exercise. The question isn't, have you done this before? There's 100 people that have done it. The question is, can I see you solving my problem in this place? Can I see it? And this is where it really breaks down. This is what I see time and time again. People describing what they do, but they're not proving it. Even if you just bear with me, have your CV up and just go and have a look at one of the sentences where it says managing multiple stakeholders. Oh, who cares? Does it prove anything? Does it say that you managed complex relationships? Does it say that you managed across multiple different reporting lines? Does it say that you managed lots of people from managed stakeholders from lots of different departments? Like, I've just managed stakeholders, blah, boring. Like, where is the evidence? One of the things that I would really suggest, and it's when I build, if you come to the sprint, the very first day that you're in the sprint, day one of the 45-day sprint, you have a workable CV. So in the background, I've built a document for you. And each part of that document has a prompt that asks for more information. It's give me evidence, give me data. It's stuff that I just don't know. And these are the parts that really add to your CV, that are not like everybody else's. Everybody else is just describing what they do. What I ask you to do is give me the evidence to prove it. That's why people get to second stage interviews and they don't land it, because they're not failing interviews. They're just not being pictured in that role. That you might see people, I'm sure some people that watch this have been to second interview quite a few times, and they're not landing the role. And you'll tell yourself that there was just somebody else. It was luck, it wasn't me on the day. But when that happens more than 2 or 3 times, there's a problem. And it's because all the evidence hasn't stacked up. That if you've been a finance director at KPMG and I'm interviewing you at Deloitte, I can pretty much guess that you could do that job. But if you don't get the job, and you actually should have, it's because they're missing all the evidence. You're not failing the interview. They can't picture you there. They can't see this person could fit here really, really well. And this is what is interesting. Inside the sprint, what changes isn't just the CV, it's the behavior. People start following a process. They're not just guessing anymore, just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. They're using structure, CV, keywords, stories. They're practicing properly, or they bloody well should be. And they're becoming visible and proactive. What people are saying is that when they're sending messages to people, that we template and all of that, that even though people didn't reply, I still kept messaging and I got through. They tell other people in the sprint, be persistent, because people will reply in one way or another. It's not job searching. This whole thing is about marketing. And what I can tell you from starting my own business was I was never a marketeer. You might see my stuff on LinkedIn all the time. I'm coming to lives. This is all marketing and about visibility. And this is actually no different for you. You might not want to do lives every week. It's a special place where some of us enjoy it or not. But we need to do things that are marketing. And the biggest shift I see is when people move from please hire me to here's how I'm going to solve your problem. We're saying to people, you're risking your business. I could come on board and fix that for you. And that is a completely different conversation. You become an asset. We talk about different departments as cost centers. A lot of departments are a cost. A person is a cost. They see you as a cost until you start delivering a return on investment. And if you can do that straight out the gate and you can prove how that might work, all the better. It's a different conversation. And here's why these results are happening. People who were stuck are now landing these roles, not because they got lucky, because they changed how they operate. That people are doing things differently. They're approaching things differently. They're approaching the CV differently, their network differently, their interviews differently. All of this is not about tweaking your CV endlessly. It's actually about getting back into motion. And what we see all the time is exactly the same journey. People are frustrated because nothing's landing. They don't have, they're starting to see some structure, that there is process, support, direction. And actually, what comes with this is a bit of momentum. You start getting interviews, we start having conversations, and then that leads to outcomes. If we're getting stuck right at the beginning in that structure part where you're applying for 2 jobs, 10 jobs, 20 jobs. A guy I spoke to this week is applying for 80 jobs a week. 80. It's such a lot. This man's got children. He's got things going on at home. Has got 100 other things that he could be doing. And he's putting his efforts into applying for 80 jobs a week and getting nowhere. And it's not because he's not a good human. It is not because he's not good enough. It's because the positioning is not clear enough. What he was telling me was, I've spoken to, he worked for an organisation that does recruitment, and he spoke to some of the recruiters there. And he said, the thing that I'm frustrated about is that I've shown them my CV and I say, is it good enough? And they say yes. What are you supposed to do with that as a candidate? I've given it to a friend who hires people and they say it's good enough. They say it's fine and it should be getting me in the door, and I'm stuck. And this is the problem, is that when you're giving your CV, has anybody given their CV to somebody and asked, like, who's not somebody like me, but like a friend or a HR contact or someone like that? Have you ever done that? Given your CV to somebody and asked for their opinion? Has anybody done that? Just pop it in the comments for me. Just pop it in the chat. Have you given your CV to anybody before and asked for their opinion? And what did they say? I would bet you that some of those comments might have been some, like, structure comments or whatever, but I bet pretty much that you got good feedback. Am I right? Have you given your CV to people before? I bet you have. And so what is the problem then? And the problem is positioning. It's taking a step back and not applying for 80 jobs a week, because if you're applying for 80 jobs a week, you're not doing it properly. But when you're frustrated, that's what people do. They do more, because it feels like maybe it's a numbers game. And I promise you, it is not a numbers game. So the first thing I would think about when you're thinking about this document and positioning is taking a big, huge step back and take off or minimize things that just are not purposeful on that document anymore. If you can take a step back and say, if I was the manager of this, would I care about it? The answer, for a lot of it, especially when it's more than 10 years ago, is no. So I don't know whether the comments are not working, but the thing I really hear from people is that they're giving their CV to people who are saying to them that there's nothing wrong with their CV, right? And there isn't in the main. But the 3 things that we have got to get over, the first thing is the applicant tracking system. So that applicant tracking system, when you're applying to companies directly, not necessarily recruitment agents, is seeing 100% of those documents. The recruitment person, whether it's an internal talent person or a hiring manager, if it's a smaller organization, is likely to see only 16% of those. Only 16% of how many have been sent in. And then the hiring manager is only likely to see between 2 and 5% of the overall applications. And that's if there hasn't been hundreds. So what we really need to make sure we're doing is, first of all, making sure we've got the positioning right and getting the keywords and phrases into that document forensically. And this takes quite a while if you're not doing it my way. So if you're part of the sprint, I give you a process and the tools to help you get that done in 20 minutes. One of the guys that's on the sprint at the moment, I don't know whether he's on the live today. He has started the sprint, I don't know, a week or two ago, and he has sent me the last 6 CVs that he has done this week. So he's done 6 really great applications. So these are probably, I don't know, 60, 70, 80K jobs. He sent me those over, and in every document that he sent over, he has not, the last 2 or 3, he's absolutely nailed it with no notes. He's got exactly the tools that he needs to be able to tailor that CV, and he understands exactly what he's doing. Unfortunately, if you've not been to CV writing school, no, I haven't been to CV writing school either, but if you haven't worked in and around CVs, if you haven't worked in this type of job, how do you know what good looks like? If you've not really worked as a hiring manager before, and you've not been through these recruitment processes on the other side very much, how do you know whether this is good or not? And this is the problem, that what we're often doing is we're asking opinions of people who are so far down the recruitment process, it actually doesn't make a difference at the top end. So I don't know whether my comments are working or not, or you're just not talking to me today. So I'll go and have a quick look, see you on the page. What I would really love for you to take from today is to stop asking yourself, is my CV good enough? And start asking yourself, is my positioning clear enough? Because that's what changes everything. And if there is, some of the comments are not coming up, so sorry about that. Anna, you're saying that strong candidates have been filtered out before a human ever sees their CV. Understanding applicant tracking systems and how recruiters read applications can make a huge difference at the interview stage, and that is absolutely true. The applicant tracking systems are making they're filtering. They're not making these big choices, but they're filtering. And we need to make sure that we are in that pack. And that is about positioning. So if you've got any questions, please do chuck them in. I know that from our viewers, we've got some interviews happening this week. And today, actually. So let's give them all our fingers crossed. One of our sprinters is in London today, doing a huge interview. This is a really, really big deal. So we are keeping everything crossed for that person. If you're interviewing this week, keeping it all crossed for you. If you're expecting some results, again, we are keeping it all crossed for you. But think about positioning, because it really is going to change everything. If you've got any questions, please do share them with me. Just wanted to make sure that's working. If you've got any questions, do share them with me. If you've got any thoughts, if you've got any questions about the sprint, do get in touch, because I think it's fabulous anyway. Not only that, you get the community support. Some people call it group therapy, whatever we might need, because it is about community. There are some other things that you can do. We've got LinkedIn Lives every Thursday at 1:00 in term time, mostly. We've got the open networking event that happens once a month. It was today, so it'll be in about another 4 weeks' time, I imagine. We also have the case files. So these are talking about real situations that happened with our sprinters that are all on my website. If you'd like to have a read of those, let me know and I'll send you the link over. And if you're really, really serious about fixing your situation, the sprint is where we do the work. It's structured, it's direct, and it gets people moving again. Whatever your questions are, wherever you're feeling blocked, that's what we do. We help you get over it. You don't need a better CV. I mean, you do. But it's not about improving you as a person. You just need to be seen differently. So that is me done for the day. Unless anyone has got any questions, any thoughts, anything that they would like to share, please chuck it in the comments. I'll go and see if I can find those again. Otherwise, hopefully that was useful. keeping all our fingers crossed for interviews being done this week. And I will see you next week, Thursday, 1 o'clock, live. And let's see if we can get into the spring with some new offers. So I will see you then. Oh, we've got a comment. There we go. Oh, thank you. Have a lovely rest of your day and good luck. See you later.